What's going on? What's going on? This is TeNoonzie back at it again, chilling. I am back, and I've been missing everybody. I hope you've been missing me, and if you haven't been, it's probably because I've been visiting your lives and doing all type of other cool stuff. So anyway, shout out to the fam bam. Shout out to all the supporters out there, people who've been checking up on us, doing all the due diligence. When you talk about being supportive, I do appreciate it. Today is a very, very special day. Okay. Not only is it my return, but it's also the return of the original co host, the true alumni, person who has been so supportive and so encouraging, so empowering. And when you try to meet somebody at their level, and then you take a little time off and you get back together and you start discussing what have we been doing while we've been apart. You find out that it's the person you're connected to this person because they're more special and they have so many other things going on. And you're just like, man, you know what? This is the reason why we're so cool because you're that great of a person. And without further ado, I don't even want to big it up too much. We're gonna just go ahead and get it started with my great friend and co-worker, my co-host, my I don't even it's just so many different things. Let's just go ahead and do it. What's going on, Tay? What's up? What's up?
Hey you.
All right. How you been?
I have been well. I have been well. Thank you so much for such a great introduction.
I try my best to do what I can do, but you know what? Really, words can't really explain uh how supportive you are. You are so triumphant in many different ways, and the longer I've been around you, the more I've learned about you, and I think you probably agree the same thing about myself. um
Mhm.
you have something special going on. Now, a lot of people know a little bit about your background, but there are some hidden talents that people don't know about, and you have something really, really special going on. And I want you to go ahead and just give an introduction of on what it is that you have to showcase here for us today.
So, I love that you said that we have been co-workers, co-hosts, and we kind of went our separate ways a bit, not in a bad way, but in our careers, moving in different directions in our careers. You've had some amazing milestones and triumphs, and I went back to one of my first loves, and that was writing. I went
Mm.
back to writing. When I had my great loss in 2018, I just couldn't find my words for the last 7 years. I haven't been able to find my words. And I petitioned God for them. And then I looked up, and not only were they back, they were pouring out. So on my hiatus, I have been writing a healing workbook series, 5 book healing workbook series called Hey You.
Mm.
And there it is. If you haven't seen it, this is the first of my newborn babies.
Oh man.
And Hey You is it's a myriad of things. If you know me, when you speak to me, my greeting is usually Hey You,
Hmm.
but also Hey You, what you doing? Hey You. This is all about me talking directly to the reader about healing.
Oh man, that's great. That's great. So you already kind of broken down the meaning for "Hey You," but the name "Hey You" is, as you said, is a normal greeting for us.
Yeah.
Of all the titles that you could have made for this book, you chose to say "Hey You." And can you just kind of give us a background of why you decided to entitle this book "Hey You"?
So, hey, you is my signature greeting. If you talk to me in person, on a phone, or video, usually my initial greeting is, and most people say, hey, hi, or what's up? And I say, hey, you. And it's because I want you to know that I acknowledge you, I see you. And when I was writing my book, I wanted it to say the same thing. I wanted someone to say, when you saw it on a shelf or when you walk by it anywhere, it speaks to you. Hey,
Yeah,
you. It's talking directly to you.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Now, I gotta say this. I got a copy. All right. When I found out that you were a writer, first off, I was shocked but not surprised because there's so many aspects of a person, and the me and you, we had deep conversations. We could talk about the most surface level stuff, and then we could go like iceberg deep, you know. So when you told me you were writing a book and it was complete, and you have a couple of other books, I was like, wow, you've been doing this for a long time. And my question is, what was the motivation for this book?
What was the motivation for this book? Healing. Healing was the motivation for this book. What people don't know is that I started writing Hey You 8 years ago. And it was a year before my daughter's passing. And I just stopped. I was working on my autobiography. I was working on Hey You, which is a second installment of Best Piece of Advice.
Mhm.
And I just stopped when I lost my baby. It
Mm.
seemed like her loss took my words, took my desire to just have anything to say. I didn't have words. I didn't have anything to say. I didn't have anything to express. And so, and although I say that at the same time, I had tons to express. I was experiencing significant loss, devastating grief, and a life changing event. And so, usually I journal those things out or I write those things out, and I couldn't. I couldn't write it out.
Wow. But challenges happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my condolences to you and your family. You know, I keep you in prayers. You're very, very strong woman, and your journey is very inspiring.
Thank you.
My question about the book, since you were already writing it prior to, you know, that the unfortunate thing that occurred, once that happened and you took a break, do you believe that in a strange way that tragedy awakened another pathway to, or another, I could say, let's did it motivate you in a different way to write the book? Did it change the trajectory? Lord, hold on, wait, y'all. It's the red cup. Okay. Did it change the direction? There we go. I gotta say easier words. Did it change the direction of how where you were going with the book?
Yes,
Or okay, how so?
it absolutely did because the original Hey You was a companion book to a workbook I had written for my clients. So it was Best Piece of Advice came out first. Best Piece of Advice, Coaching Your Own Life workbook came out first in 2014, if I'm not mistaken. And it was really just a coaching tool that I wanted to be able to offer to my clients, to add credit to the work that I was doing at the time. And Hey You was supposed to be the companion to that, along in that installment. And after I lost my daughter, it completely changed the trajectory of the book completely, and it went from a collection of different advices, experiences I had collected throughout the time in coaching and in social work, in social services, to really refining and defining my own healing journey.
Wow. That's very profound. And I like the fact that you use the word trajectory. because you woke me up. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Um,
I got you.
yeah, thank you. So is this the type of book that you can read from the front to back or back to front, or can you start in the middle? I know you said that this is something that's like a workbook,
Mhm.
right? Can you just kind of tell us a little bit more about the style of writing that that you've done to create this book?
Oh yeah, sure. The original one was more passage. It was more topic focused, where you got this topic, and then it was section throughout. This one is more workbook, more self exploration, more self discovery.
Hmm.
Um, I'm originally a poet. I write poetry, and I like music. Music is my favorite. Music is my love language, actually. And
Wow.
one of the things I found as I was writing Hey You is that it's being written like poetry and music. So when you
Yes.
read through it, it's written like poetry and music, but it's very much a story. It's very much a story. And even though Hey You each passage has a different, it addresses a different, maybe different life circumstance, different place in life. If you read it straight through first, I suggest, being the author, I suggest you read it straight through first. Don't do any other work yet. Just read it straight through and then go back and then start from the beginning and start to work the book, because it's a story. It's not just, it's my story. Every Hey You is a part of my life and has become a part of the journey since losing my daughter.
Wow. Wow. I gotta say, I did read the book, and I know that you were saying that this book was geared more towards women, but you wanted me to take a read just to see what I thought about it. And I kind of surprised you in conversation because I told you that the book made me think about my past relationships or past connections with women,
Yeah,
whether it be an actual relationship or a friendship or even family members. You know, you as a man trying to find your way and encountering women and not realizing that they're on their own journey. Sometimes and I think people do this. Sometimes we set up boundaries and and they may be healthy, don't get me wrong, but sometimes we don't offer enough grace to one another. And as I was reading the book and I was actually taking myself into the book and visualizing what you were talking about. Uh in particular, you know, about the dress. I don't want to give away too much, but just being able to stand out and be magnetic towards people, but you may be wrapped in that exact same outfit, but you're not receiving the same attraction for whatever reason, and understanding that it wasn't really about what's around you; it's really about what was within.
yeah.
And what tripped me out about that was that my whole dating career, and I like to call it a career, I don't know why. My whole dating career, there's been times where I've had zero, like little to no patience for somebody because they're displaying what we may call red flags now.
Yeah.
But really, I was looking at it and like, man, you know, a lot of that stuff was a cry for help, or they were in the trauma and they're trying to get through it, and that's all what they have in that moment. And I told you, I said, man, I'm reading this book. It almost made me want to call a couple of people and apologize because I
You
just didn't
did.
have the patience. But where I was at in my life, I didn't recognize that. What direction were you taking when you wrote this book when it comes to, like, what was the demographic? I mean, I know we talking it was geared more towards women, but what was the whole idea when you started sectioning off certain parts? You're writing certain parts, and and you decided, you know what, let me tell them a piece of this in my life? Like, what made you decide to put something like that in the book?
Well, I know it's part you're talking about. You're referring to the woman in the other dress, which is at the beginning of the book. Is in the mirror. It starts the mirror chapter of the book, and the mirror was intended to show and reflect who we are as women, and oftentimes who we are when we're operating in somebody else's idea of how we should show up or who we should be, and we put that on, like we put it on like a dress, and even though we're wearing that dress and it looks on some of us it looks great, on some of us it not so much, but you realize that the dress is not yours.
Yeah.
And until you see another woman walk in the exact same dress, and she's wearing it in all its glory and getting what you believe you should be getting. But the difference is that she walked in and she owned the dress, and you walked in and you borrowed the dress. It wasn't yours. It didn't fit you. And so, and that it comes to life oftentimes with us as women as comparing yourself to the woman that you think is reflecting what you are not. And so um, I love that you said, as a man, and I know we had this conversation when you called, and you said, okay, I feel like I need to call some people and apologize because I just didn't have the
Yeah.
capacity at the time. And that was the most wonderfully surprising review I had. And I was hoping that, because though I am a woman and Hey You appears to be written to women, it was written to everybody. It was
Yeah.
written It was written to everyone. It was written to the strong one. It was written to the one that's always okay, the one that's there for everybody else, but is hardly ever seen.
Yeah.
And that isn't just one woman. That's also men as well. And so when I wrote it, I thought it's gonna because I'm a woman, because I'm the woman telling the story. I don't want it to stop men from being able to also dive in and have some ahas and discovery moments like you did. And to date, tons of men have purchased copies, multiple copies actually, of Hey You, like you, and the healing that goes with it has begun to ripple outward in a greater way than I expected.
I gotta say, I was very impressed. Some people open the book, go straight to the end, and think they know what the story is about. But it's very important to start from the beginning. Although at the end, yeah, you can get to the end and that's fine, but that's kind of like cheating in my perspective. You have to really enjoy and take the full ride and experience that the artist has put together. So when you what I realized is that at the end of each section, as you said, it was a workbook, and there's questions. And not only are there questions, there's also different forms of affirmations, poetry,
Mhm.
there's scripture, there's
Mhm.
quotes from certain people, empowering things. What what put you in that space to say, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and add this in there? Like, what made you add that element to the book?
And you're right. There's scripture, spoken word, affirmation. There's breath work. There's all kinds of different things in it, all rolled into
Mhm.
one. And why it's there, I added all those things because, one, I'm a believer. I my guiding principle in life is scripture. My guiding principle in life is the word of God. And so I sat with enough moms and individuals who had lost their children and heard that was a challenge for them now,
Yeah.
connecting with the divine, believing that God was good and faithful. And so, or just saying, I don't read the Bible because I don't know where it applies to me anymore. And
Mhm.
so I wanted the opportunity to show where it's applicable. After you've read a best piece of, after you've read a Hey You passage, uh, and move through the rest of it, and you get to scripture, you're like, wait a minute, that goes with that, and I can relate to that. So I wanted it to be able to tie into real world application. And then spoken word. Well, again, I'm a poet, and I just love the way poetry can sometimes sneak into those spaces that you didn't anticipate and touch a heart or create a ripple. And then affirmation. I wanted it to be a book that affirmed wherever it met you at, wherever best piece of advice or whatever hey you meets you. I wanted it to affirm.
That's beautiful. I want to read to you a review that I had wrote when I first started reading the book.
Okay.
I said, imagine hearing your inner voice for the first time, but you often choose to ignore it. You're constantly on the move, consumed by work or dealing with personal challenges at home and in your relationships. Subconsciously, you find yourself caught in the struggle between deflection and reflection, often constrained by societal expectations that keep you from reaching your full potential. Finally, you take a moment to truly listen to yourself, setting aside the distractions of the outside world that have kept you from discovering your true purpose. Hey You is a reintroduction to yourself, allowing you to reconnect and rediscover who you are. What do you think of that?
I think you nailed it. It's introspective. It's about you. It's about you taking the journey to self discovery in a way that maybe has not been realized before. It's about sitting with yourself. It's about self first, which is not self ish. It's just like being on a plane. If something were to happen on a plane, it goes down, they tell you what? Put the mask on yourself first. And that's what Hey You is about. Hey You is about putting the mask on yourself first, learning to breathe again for you so that that healing ripples outward and touches those closest to your life. And you hit the nail on the head. It's about saying out loud that I'm not going to be deflective. I'm going to be reflective. I'm going to be introspective. I'm going to look inside and see and assess where the ache is coming from. Because healing starts with an ache that becomes a call.
That's right.
And you either answer it or you leave it dormant and you continue to bleed out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Another thing that tripped me out about the book is that even though I'm reading these challenges that are going on, this person is actually on the brink of a breakthrough, but doesn't know it because um, they're still stuck in the middle of the chaos. And it reminds me of one of the passages that you put in there. You said that peace is the new proof, and I want you to further expound on what does that mean, and the context when it comes to a healing journey.
That line still stops me. Pieces of new proof still stop me. It's so many of us have confused chaos with growth. We think that, and as long as it's chaotic, like the hurt isn't real unless it's the healing isn't here. The healing isn't real unless there's pain associated with it. And I used to think that if I wasn't bleeding, I wasn't breaking. So if it wasn't hurting, if I wasn't bleeding, then healing wasn't happening. The truth of the matter is I didn't have to break to heal.
Mm.
Sometimes it happened in those still peaceful moments. And even in moments, those passive moments are prophetic healing spaces. And so peace is what happens when you stop auditioning deliverance and you start receiving it.
Mm.
Stop performing peace and start living peace. And that's where Peace is a New Proof came from. It came from the reality that, wait a minute, healing doesn't have to be chaotic, healing doesn't have to be disruptive. Peace is the proof of your healing. If you're at peace, chances are you're healing.
You're so deep. I'm glad that you were able to break that part down because that's a reality that people face every day, to be honest. And like I
Yeah.
said, when you some people are facing a breakthrough, but they're so far from realizing it. And that distance is almost akin to like a carrot at the end of the stick, but you're doing it to yourself.
Yeah.
And like you said, peace is more of it's more based on an action, something that you have decided that, hey, this is what I want, and you're taking the necessary steps to get to that goal. But
Mhm.
if you are pretending like you're at peace, you're actually doing yourself more of a disservice, you know. And I
Yeah.
see a lot of that, especially now.
Yeah.
You know, we look on social media. To be honest, I don't believe 90% of the stuff I see on social media because I believe a lot of people are pretending
Performing.
that
They're performing.
they're performing, and
Mhm.
it it is okay to perform if you're practicing for the real thing. But what I realize is that it's a lot of people that are in shambles, and they're just that's the only thing they have to kind of keep themselves together without completely falling apart. But you have to be able to face what the situation really is, look within, pray for your peace and guidance and strength, and you have to start moving
Absolutely.
forward at some point, you know. So I'm glad that you were able to break that part down because that was very profound in my opinion.
And it
My
passes. It also
mhm.
reminds you too that God, God can grow us in the soft places too.
Oh
It
yeah,
doesn't have to be chaos. It can be quiet and still, and that peace can grow out of that quiet and still space. Be still and know that I am
mhm,
God. And so I think that I love that you just said that so many people on social media are performing peace. They're performing uh, resilience or healing, but they're not really walking in it.
yeah. I mean, it's a desire.
Yeah,
It is a
agreed.
desire. It's a very strong desire. Don't get me
Yep,
wrong, but I think they're getting that dopamine hit and self gratification by the amount of likes they get or views they get based on that.
yep,
When they know the reality isn't that yet. I mean, but at least they see it. It's on the horizon. You just have to take a break from all that stuff and really put boots to the ground and move towards it. You know, and when you're one thing I learned growing up, a lot of the times your challenges get the toughest when you begin to outgrow your former self.
agreed. Well
I
said.
mean, there's people who've had a lot of challenges in their life. They could be a drug addict, they could be in the streets, you know, whatever it is. They realize that it's not for them. And
Yep.
the second that they make that decision that, hey, I'm not doing this no more, I'm about to be better. Well, somebody told me a long time, when you pray to God, the devil hear it too, and you about to get tested. And that's what a lot of people are dealing with these days. What do you think about that?
I do. I think that a lot of us are dealing with a lot of really difficult spaces in our life. There's a lot of trauma, and we exist in a system that produces uh, very desperate and depressing circumstances for its constituents. There's a lot of despair that people are not unraveling or not even addressing. And so I agree with you. I think that when you start to transform your life or you make that decision, then there is going to be that spiritual opposition
Right.
that says, no, I need you to stay stuck. And pieces of new proof, or even hey you in its entirety, is all about removing those barriers and becoming unstuck and living in the truest version of your authenticity. And
Yeah.
that's difficult for a lot of us because we're still figuring out who we are.
Yeah.
And I heard somebody say at 50 is it, I'm like, it doesn't matter if you've spent all of your life completely unsure of who you are, or you've shown up as the expectations of others. Like maybe you are the version of you that your parents expect, or you're the version of you that your partner expects, or your children expect, or your job expects. And you've never really done the hard work to determine and discover and decide to operate in who you are, then oftentimes you're living with a lack of identity, but existing in a sense of despair.
Yeah. Yeah, that's real. Uh, I was thinking about what you were talking about when it comes to healing, and it doesn't have to be loud,
Yeah.
right? How do you, in the book, help guide someone to find a way to find healing in a more peaceful or quieter way?
The entire book is geared towards assessment, self assessment, and it asks some really tough questions. If you'll allow me, I'll actually share a couple of the prompts that I've been led to,
Hmm.
um, that people have reached out and said, "Whoa, where did that come from?"
Yeah.
Um, prompt one in journal prompt one, page 11, it starts with, "When did you first learn to dress your pain as performance?"
Mm.
When did you start learning to dress your pain as performance? And what that's talking about is there's something that hurt you, and instead of addressing it, you perform it.
Yeah.
And it comes across in things like, this is who I am, this is who I've always been. But is it really? Is that really who you are? Is that really who you've always been? Or is that now your trauma in operation, your pain in performance? And is that the person or the version of you that you think it does that show the best version of you? Is that does that allow people to genuinely and authentically see who you are, or is that now the defense mechanism so that nobody gets close?
Mm.
And one of my favorite sections of the book, there I have so many. My favorite part of the book is the dwelling. My favorite chapter of the book is the dwelling. And the reason that that's my favorite chapter of the book is because once I got to a place where I wanted to really assess my own healing, it required me to dwell in some very uncomfortable,
Right.
sometimes very dark
Yeah.
places. But truly, it also put me in my favorite space, and that is in a spiritual realm. And that's my dwelling in the Word of God. That's my dwelling. That's where I dwell. That's where I try to spend the most of my time, either listening to or reading something or watching. I watch a lot of videos. I don't watch TV. I don't listen to traditional radio or
Hmm.
commercial radio. I really listen to a lot of sermons. I listen to a lot of spiritual podcasts. I read. I'm a Bible reader. Um, I've been I pray, so I've been really putting my heart and focus into that. And so when we stop allowing the reaction to dictate who we are and start becoming introspective and taking our power back from others that we allow to trigger us, or circumstances that we allow to move our cheese and test our peace, and you start making choices as to how you're going to show up, that's when I think the true healing begins, when you take your power back.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you had me thinking about scripture, being in the lion's den, and I mean, it's so many things racing in my head right now, thinking about that before a breakthrough actually occurs, and you recognize
Yeah.
that it's something greater, and it allows you to step into the space where you're destined to be, and I like how you worded that. It's really, really deep. Um, I heard you say that in the beginning that this book was a part of a series,
Yeah.
and I just wanted you to kind of break down, the different parts of it. Where if once someone reads this book, and then the other books that you have, once they read it all, when it comes all together, what is the goal for that reader?
So Hey You is a 5 book healing workbook series, and I'm prayerful that it'll take off, because I think that it's a series that people really need. One, we start with Hey You, which is reflective and introspective and talks about, like you and you've walked this journey, so you know in its entirety that it's the culmination of a story. Ultimately, yes, it's about you. And when you take Hey You the journey, you don't realize it's about you.
Yeah.
You're like, wait a minute, is this person talking to me? And then you get to the end of the story. And I think that's where it's truly revealed that, yep, it's your story, but you just took it with me on my journey.
Yeah,
You come
that's
to the end and you realize it's my journey.
look. I'm trying my best to be serious, but when I read the book, I felt like Big Red when he met the five heartbeats. He was like, you got so much style and you're right. Let's make a deal. Let's do it right now. But I know I
Mm-hmm.
ain't got a cent to put no money behind you, but I do support the way that I can because
Yeah.
I know that you put a lot of effort into this and the time that it took to, you know, structure everything. That takes a lot of work. And I don't think a lot of people understand that unless they've attempted to write something from the heart, especially with all the challenges that came uh, with that along that journey. You know, that's something that I can't you can't necessarily put into words like off the jump. It's just something that you're going through something and a natural occurrence happens when you face certain challenges. Hey, I
Mm-hmm.
need to take a step back. And you
Yeah.
took a necessary step back and then one day it just came jumped back on you and you were able to complete the book and it is just it's a beautiful, very insightful book and I think that from a male perspective, we definitely have to take it seriously. But the women, I mean, that's the demographic there. Women really have to be able to read this with an open mind, take it very seriously because it's not the type of books we used to grow up, you know, and I'm not trying to throw
Mm-hmm.
no shade at nobody, but you know, certain style of books and
Mm-hmm.
stories and all that with little exotic stuff like that. No, this is about going deep within and being true to yourself about
Yep.
what's going on so that you can continue to function and affect those around you in a positive light because those stories that you're mentioning, to be honest, yes, it affects the person obviously because it's them, but it also affects the people, the immediate people around you, and
Yep.
it also affects how certain things that you're trying to obtain, it that could determine success or, for lack of a better word, failure. I don't really like using that word failure, but
Yeah.
it becomes a setback at some point because
Mm-hmm.
you haven't really dealt with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's a very, I don't want to say
Mm-hmm.
it can be uncomfortable at some
Oh yeah.
point when you start reading it because
Oh yeah.
you're realizing that hey, okay, this is relatable. I see what's going on here, and I think you said it. It was some people who read it and had to put it down, and
Yeah.
you know what? I mean, I'm not a woman, but reading it and putting myself as like a fly on the wall, visualizing because you're a very great writer. Don't get me wrong. I have a good imagination, but I think my imagination gets better when someone knows how to write it, so I can actually
Yeah.
see, I can visualize what it is that you're writing. That can be uncomfortable for someone.
It is uncomfortable sitting with your pain, sitting with your sense of defeat, sitting with despair, exploring what maybe what you feel like might be holding you back are very uncomfortable positions to be in. I don't
Yeah.
think anyone's sitting around going, "I want to be broken this weekend," but Hey You is there not necessarily to break you, but to offer the breakthrough so that when you start again, you start from a place that is productive, a place that is healed, a place that is good, a place where you can continue to move forward, but in the best version of you that is authentic to you and not one that has been built by trauma or established by pain or canceled by grief. And what we think sometimes in our quest for purpose is we believe that it requires us to show up perfect, and you
Mm.
don't. You don't have to show up perfect. Your healing journey can start anywhere. It doesn't have to have a perfect start. As a matter of fact, there isn't anything perfect in this world, and the moment that we can accept that, I think that that creates a great jumping off space for us to begin to heal and move forward.
Yeah. Oh man. You know, that's why I think it was important for you to allow some men to read it,
Hmm.
because it helps us understand. And I said this a little bit earlier, but it helps us to understand certain things that do happen, because you could be going through something and it affects you in a way where you're not your best self. You
Yeah,
don't, like you said, nobody's perfect, but you're not
yeah,
your best self. And sometimes, well, most of the time, when people are going through things and they're not themselves, their best self, the reactions to things are going to be totally different. They're not as motivated. You know, if someone
yep, mm,
love to, I don't know, paint or something like that, and they're going through it, they may just completely lose their mojo for a while. Like, look,
yep,
I just don't have the love for this right now. But
yep,
it's still there, but it's because it's something deeper that they have to deal with. And I'm glad that this book is here, because it also, for me, it exposes that, it reveals that hard truth to people, that when you're going through hard times, you're not really dealing with the strong side of you. God knows where you're strong and where you're weak. And if this is a part of your life that is damaged or it needs building, well, this is the book to help you, get through that part, to
yeah.
help strengthen you up. And you did a wonderful job with this book. I have one more thing. I have one more thing. I saw this in the book, and I want to ask you about it and just break it down. Four letters: GCHM. Can you tell us what that stands for and what it means to you?
GCHM stands for Grief Can't Hold Me. And it's also my organization. It's a 501c3 that I created in memory and honor of my daughter. GCHM, it's my mantra. It's my life's song right now. Um, and when it has dual meaning, so I have to really break it from the root for what it is. G, God; C, Christ; H, Holy Spirit; M, me. Grief can't hold me.
Mm,
And why? Because God, Christ, and the Holy Spirit are inside of me. And it's it's the truth. Grief can't hold me, and grief can't hold you, because grief. And there's a part in the book that is also one of my favorite pieces, and that is that grief can't hold what glory has crowned, but it's grief truly cannot hold what glory has already crowned. No
mm,
matter what you're fighting against, no matter what the obstacle is, if you've decided to to move forward, if you decided to chase healing, then the absolute accomplishment of that is yours authentically. You've earned it. Grief
mm,
can't hold me.
mm,
No matter what will ever happen in this life, I recognize that that is the greatest pain of my life that will never change. That was the worst thing I've ever experienced, and I've experienced some pretty nasty, uncomfortable, difficult circumstances in this life, but that by far has been the greatest loss of my life and the greatest tragedy of my life. But GCHM, Grief Can Hold Me, also says that the greatest tragedy of my life has produced some of the greatest triumphs as well.
I know I said that was the last thing, but you made me think about the challenge that you
Mhm.
had. And grief is a very serious thing. And I almost didn't, I don't really want you to have to relive it. I know that there was motivations behind it. If you
Yeah,
feel comfortable telling a little bit about it, you can, but you don't have to go as deep. But I think for someone who's trying to read your book and they're trying to figure out where these connections coming from, do you have something to say about what the motivations were for that book?
absolutely. What motivated me to finish, a couple things motivated me to finish writing Hey You. One, I had I reflected on the last actual conversation I had with my daughter sitting on my back porch. and of my house before I bought the house that I'm in now. And we were talking, and she'd become a mom. She had all three of her kids, and she was asking if we were friends. And because all of their life, I'm like, I'm not your friend. You will have friends. You only get one mom. Yeah, I mean, you may be blessed to maybe get a stepmother or something like that, if something horrible happens, but you only get one mom. And as a mom, my job is to make sure that you are safe, that you are operating in purpose, that there's a soft, safe space for you to learn and begin to develop your own identity. And and my job as a mom is to introduce you to the Lord. And so I can't be your friend, because friends have to worry about things like whether or not you're going to talk to me if I make a decision, or if you're going to be mad at me, or if you're going to ignore me. I don't care about those things. If it's the best decision for your life, I'm going to make it as a mom. And she said, Mom, so are we friends? And I said, we absolutely are friends, because now you understand life in a completely different way as a mom, now that you're a mom. So we absolutely are friends. And there are things that we are going to discuss that only friends can talk about, especially in the realm of raising children. And she said, see, Mom, it's stuff like that I'm saying. Why you didn't finish your book? And when she said it, we were talking about both my autobiography, which I am still working on, and Hey You, this next installment, Hey You. And I said, I don't know. I don't know. I'm struggling with my commitment. And she said, are you struggling with, like, are you waiting to do something amazing or to be amazing to finish your book? Are you waiting for something amazing to happen? And I looked at her, because it was like my own epiphany moment. Like, am I waiting for this? And she said, well, Mom, if you're waiting to be amazing, you already are amazing. If you're waiting for that, if that's the reason that you're waiting to finish your book, because you're already amazing. And that motivated me to take another. I had looked at Hey You 1,000 times. I had tried to edit it. I had paid for somebody to edit it over the last 7 years and 8 years. And it just wasn't coming together. It didn't sound right. I was like, what am I saying? What am I trying to say? And then the worst thing happened, and I knew what I was trying to say. I started trying to say, what I wanted to say was, don't quit, don't stop, don't don't give up, don't give in, even in the light of what you feel like is the worst time of your life. I was searching out my new identity, because I was no longer the version of me that I was when all of my children were here. Grief had truly built another version of me. And it was someone I didn't even know yet. It was somebody I was unfamiliar with. It was somebody who was broken, somebody who was hurting, someone who didn't know if tomorrow was worth the next breath. It was someone who didn't realize that even in the breaking I was becoming, it was somebody who had forgotten how to breathe. And finally, 7 years, and if you are biblical, then you know 7 is the year of completion. It's the number of completion. And I was completing my grief journey, not in the sense that I was healed. I still cry. I still wake up some mornings, and I have to get past the ache in my heart for my daughter to get into the world. I still have to sometimes sit in my car and cry, but I was still here. I was still breathing. I still belonged. And by God's grace, I'm still becoming.
Well said. Well said. So, tell us where we can find the book.
You can find Hey You, a healing workbook for becoming, belonging, and breathing again on Amazon, doing amazingly well. It's gotten some really great reviews thus far. We asked God for 100 copies to be sold in the month of July. I released it July 4th. And July 15th, I prayed and asked God for 100 copies to be sold by the end of the month. And by the end of the month, it was 137 copies. And right now, we are approximately about 156 with a book signing on the 23rd. So I'm hoping for that. If anyone is in the Texas area, Fort Worth, and you are available Saturday afternoon, August 23rd, please join us for great conversation and reflection at Half Price Books on Sherry Lane. I think it's 474 Sherry Lane or 472 Sherry Lane. You can look it up. It's Half Price Books by the Ridgemar Mall. And I'm not only just exceedingly thrilled with the outcome for Hey You, I'm also the co-author of my 12-year-old grandbaby's book, Unfiltered, the kid who asked why. And this is his journey to healing, belonging, and identity. He wrote an amazing book. It is a collection of his stories, his experiences, his loss, his love, and what he does to cope, and how he's determined to accept his new identity, the new version of him since the loss. And because there was so much, when I asked for my words back, I didn't realize that God was going to open like a floodgate and they were going to come pouring in like a broken dam.
Right.
And so because there was so much in November, I believe Black Friday or the end of November, The Poor will be coming out as well. So Hey You, The Poor Book 2, which if I had to say any of these were focused on healing from grief, this would be the one. This one is really about, it's a guided journal for healing and legacy and the light that remains. And this one, I think, really conveys my heart in the healing space from grief. But it also isn't just about grief. It's the beautiful belonging after. It's a beautiful after. It's learning the legacy and loving and remembering them and learning how to remember without reliving.
Wow.
And so that one is also very near to my heart. Hey You is my baby. Hey You, the Poor Book 2 is its amazing sibling. And then because I've been trusting God for partnership and relationship, and not necessarily, I'm dating, but not necessarily dating. I'm waiting, but in that wait, God inspired me to write Hey Dater.
All right.
And so Hey Dater is just, today's dating in today's world can feel overwhelming and unpredictable, and it's full of what you said earlier, red flags. And sometimes we just need to figure out where we're going and what we're doing. So Hey Dater is a dating journal that is here to remind you that the most important relationship that you can have is with yourself.
Yeah.
And in doing that, it cultivates awareness, boundaries, and talks about my own dating experiences with some really
Oh.
funny stories. Oh, yeah, some really funny stories. Like there are a lot of those spaces where, remember that time I dated? And then the story is outlined. It's filled with illustrations and great quotes, but they're all mine. They're all me. They're all real. And they're all the reason that I'm waiting and that I'm okay with waiting.
Okay. Okay. That's what I'm talking about right there. You know what tripped me out? I wasn't expecting you to show those books. In fact, the artwork on those books are, I gotta take top tier. Did you do that artwork yourself, or?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Somebody told me, because I've paid for covers to be designed before, and
Yeah.
it could get a little lofty. And so I thought, I want something authentically me. And those are just the top three right now. There's still two more to come with Hey Church Sis and Hey You Men, because I also wanted to write something to help guide some of the men in that nurturing space, because I am raising men. But I decided, I was like, well, how can I do it myself where it doesn't cost the most money, but still looks brilliant and beautiful? And it's something that I can be proud to showcase on the cover of my books. And so I started learning Canva, and I started learning to how to operate my AI tools, which is really great for creating illustrations and covers and all the things. I even did all of the illustration for Unfiltered, the kid who asked why, which is banging it out. And I have to say, I would be remiss if I did not mention that Unfiltered, as of today,
Mm.
the first R. Cooper signed copy was remanded to and added to the White Settlement Library here in White Settlement,
That's
Texas.
that's beautiful. That's beautiful right there. Especially being so young and being able to come up with a book and having the guidance of grandmother. And you don't look like a grandmother at all, but just having that guidance to be able to foster up a skill set that they have. Kids need that these days, and due to what society has pushed on a lot of the parents and stuff, a lot of the children aren't really being cared for in that manner.
Yeah,
So they don't even believe that they have the skills to do stuff like that, and and their little light ends up getting snuffed out before
yeah,
they even get a chance to do it. So I got to commend you for standing firmly in that, being supportive, and that's just it's just a beautiful thing to see, and I hope that that young man continues to do, and I hope he continues to write, and I want him on the show. So if he start talking to people, I want him to come and talk to me. All right.
yes,
Yeah, it's a lot to learn. They have certain sayings about like older cultures where they do look to the youth for
yeah,
certain decisions because of their purity, because of where their minds are, the way they think. Kids are very unfiltered, and I think it's very important to break to tap into a young person's mind rather than trying to corrupt it because of what we perceive how things are. No, we need to get their perspective on things so they because they're the future. So
yeah, absolutely.
I appreciate you for that. Um, if someone was walking, I know I'm holding you for a while, but you be having me
No,
thinking
it's
about
fine.
stuff. You see a person and they ask you about your book and you hand them the book. What would you say to them as you hand them that book?
They're both available on Amazon. No, 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 they're both available right now on Amazon. One of I actually had that moment, and a couple of my friends and people who are just amazingly supportive wanted their own copies from me and personally signed copies, which I got that totally. But when I give a copy of Hey You to someone, which I actually did, I had an amazing experience. God is so faithful because I went to Dave and Buster's with my family. We were invited out with my cousin, who is an amazing person, Antoine Crowder, and Dr. Antoine Crowder. And yeah, and so as we were sitting there, the person that was in service to us, our server, her machine started to malfunction, and so she sat next to me, and we started talking while she was trying to figure out why her equipment wouldn't work, and she began to share this story with me about how only literally 30, 45 days prior to us meeting, her son was murdered,
Mm,
unalived, as we call it
mm,
now, which I think doesn't serve the truth of what is the depths of what one experiences.
right.
But her son was unalived, and she went on to say, I'm a believer. I believe in the Lord and believe in Jesus, and it just breaks my heart that the kind of life that my son was living
Mm,
may mean that I may not see him in heaven. And and she's like, I'm not gonna cry or anything like that, but you could tell that she wanted to.
right.
And she said, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to go get into all that. I was just trying to get my equipment to work. And I said, no, God is intentional and faithful. And he sat you down next to the right person because I am also a child loss survivor. I lost my daughter in 2018.
Mm,
And I understand that the ache of that pain. I understand the anguish in the idea that maybe you won't see your child again. I will. Mine was an amazing person, but I do also realize that it means I won't see her here. I will never see her in this dispensation of time and on this plane. So I understood. And as she started talking, she started crying.
mm,
She's like, "Are you serious? That's so amazing. I haven't told anybody that that I'm serving or working with." I said, nobody ever meets me on accident. It's always on purpose. But I
yeah.
want to give you a gift if you're open to that. And she's like, "You want to give me a gift?" And I had won the last author's copy of Hey You in my purse. And when I offered it to her, as I have with anyone else that I've had the beautiful pleasure of offering it to, I said, may these pages heal you and meet you where you are,
There you go.
and extend to you the grace that you need to continue or to begin your healing journey.
Oh wow, that's profound. Yeah, I'm glad I got the whole story because if you would have just said that, that's cool, but the whole background to what you actually
Mhm.
said just makes it that much special. So, um, you actually made me think of one more thing.
Yeah,
Did you give her a teddy bear?
I did not have one. I usually carry one in my car,
Mhm.
but because I'm also the steward of the Teddy Bear Project, which is grief support bears that we extend to individuals under the GCHM, who Grief Can't Hold Me 501. And right now we are experiencing a lack in bears. We're down to maybe our last 10 to 15.
Mm.
And no shipping costs. So I pay for the shipping out of my pocket if nobody donates to the shipping costs. And when I first started GCHM and the Teddy Bear Project in honor and remembrance of Deja, which was last year, we have been now going strong for a year, and we are 267 bears in 17 states.
I had to think about it because when you told me about the Bears, when you first initially started, I had to support, just like how I supported with the
Mhm.
book.
Yeah.
And I gotta say this too. Okay, this is the copy that I've read. I want you to sign this. One day I'm gonna get to you and you're gonna sign it. But in addition to this book, I did purchase a couple of more.
Yes.
And I want to offer the two books that I have to anyone who's watching this video. And if they are in that point in their life and they're interested in what's being said here, if you appreciate what we spoke about, I want you to contact me. Go ahead. You can email me at TeNoonzie, TENOONZIE @gmail.com, and just put an inquiry in for the book. Or you can also contact Tay
Yes.
at you go ahead and give your stuff.
You can contact me at griefcan'tholdme1@gmail.com.
Okay. And if you want to purchase a book, you can go on Amazon and make sure you type in the name of the book. You get it there. But if you want to be gifted a book from me, I only have two. Go ahead and do that. But what I ask is that if you do get this book, and I don't care if you read it and you have to put it down for a moment, take a breather. If you're
Yeah.
impacted anyway, I just pledge that you will at least purchase a book for someone else because I
Yes.
think that this book is really needed. We have a lot of other distractions going on in the world. So when we have someone who took the time out of their life and gave a piece of them into this book to connect with other young people, with just other people, period. I
Hmm.
think that that's something very profound, and it's needed because we're constantly under attack with other shenanigans, and this is something right here I believe has a lot of substance, and it's something that can bring a lot more positivity our way in the future. So, thank you so much, Tay. Did you want to say anything before we got out of here?
I do. I want to encourage others that not just because I wrote the book, but because of what it symbolizes, what it means, and how it helps. If you are at the pinnacle of your grief journey, if you're healing, your ache is crying out to be healed. If you are looking for a way to rediscover yourself, Hey You is the companion for you. It again, gift it, read it, share it, journal about it. It is a workbook. I've heard a lot of people say, I can't write in my book. So I'm like, it's intended for you to write in it. But I totally appreciate that because I am a booker. I love books. I collect books. But if you're unable to write in your book, write a companion journal, grab a notebook and write your prompts out. But whatever you do, get a copy of Hey You. And once you've read it, share it because there's somebody whose heart is crying out. There's somebody whose ache is reaching out. There's somebody who is ready to take the healing journey. And Hey You is not a moment. Hey You is a healing movement. So join me and others where healing is winning in the healing circle.
Hmm. Yeah, we're gonna wrap it up like that. Thank you so much, Tay. I appreciate you for even allowing me to interview you about the book and the other things you got going on. I mean, we know each other. We like, hey man, you know I was gonna do it anyway. But you know what? You could have said, nah, I'm gonna do something, and I still would have loved you, you know. But thank you so much for sharing this with me and sharing it with people who's gonna see this. Thank
Yeah.
you, thank you, thank you. And you have yourself a wonderful night, okay?
You do the same. Thank you for having me. I
Oh
appreciate
yeah,
it.
anytime, anytime. All right. All right, y'all. So look, I'm gonna say this. After all that being said, I'm back. Yes. And you will be seeing a whole lot more of me. Okay. This is the first of many. You already know what it is. The Red Cup show's coming back. The TeNoonzie show's coming back. But I'm really, really serious about this book here. Okay. I like y'all. If y'all know, I've been very consistent too. People who do positive stuff, I'll be wanting to support them. But Tay has been very, very consistent with who she is as a person, what she stands for, her background, and what she's been through, and what she's accomplished, and what she's been able to become triumphant over. I really like this book, and I think that a lot of people could benefit from reading this book. So please, only two people. Y'all better be quick. Hit me up about the book. I'll give it to you. And anybody else who purchased the book from Amazon, you read the book, you get something from it, gift it to someone else. Gift it to someone else. We got enough shenanigans going on out there. I know I said it earlier, but we got enough of that going on. Okay. And of course, y'all get enough shenanigans from me too. But when it comes to something serious, we got to make sure we do right by that. Okay. This is just a balance. I'll holler at y'all on the next one. All right. This is TeNoonzie. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.